This programme features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Djuma in the Sabi Sands, where it is a 34 degrees Celsius. That's about 87 Fahrenheit. I forget. I do apologize. My name is Steve. Welcome. And I'm joined by Beeter and camera. And it is a wonderful afternoon, albeit a little bit warm. Please send through your questions. Hashtag Safari Live or throw them in on the YouTube chat stream. We'd love to hear from you. My plan this afternoon, I just found some elephant tracks. I'm going to head up to the northwestern side around Sydney's Dam, see if we can catch up with them. Alternatively, I'm going to do a big loop around because there were reports of an injured cheetah on the property at some point this morning. I'm just trying to get clarification of where that individual was, but wouldn't that be something to see? So jump on board. Let's go and see what we can find. When it's hot like this, the animals, as always, going to be by the water. So let's check all the watering points and see if we can be lucky. On this road now, we're on our western road. There's lots of tracks of seemingly hukumuri. Those of you who missed the show this morning or anything last night, we had hukumuri on them last night and this morning, and he was calling. So Tingana popped in at some point last night. Let me show you on the map. Where is my map? Because I've just found these tracks and they seem fresh, but they're not that fresh. Okay, here we go. We are over here on Aubrey's Road, and there are tracks of a male leopard coming down very, very deliberately down this road. And Tingana's tracks were on Galago, coming down all the way. And Hukumuri, we found this morning, came running towards us over here. So there's a good chance that somewhere over here in the middle of the night, while no one was listening, the two of them had some form of interaction, albeit maybe just calling and shouting at each other. But it's what leopards will often do. They'll demarcate a line, walk along that line, and not cross it. And that seems to be what's happened, because Hukumuri's walked straight down this one. Let me just show you again on the map. Hukumuri's walked straight down here. He's walked straight down there, straight through the middle, and then he came down here and out. And Tingana did something similar, except he went that way, all the way across and down and then out over there. So they seem to have sort of mirrored each other in a parallel line, demarcating territory as they go. So that is what's interesting. We didn't see anything, but that is often what happens with male leopards. It's all about intimidation. It's all about strength and shouting and calling and leaving the scent marks behind. And we're trying to see if we can smell any of them, because it's such a lovely smell, leopard urine. But anyway, while we continue on in search of these elephants, let's go up to the Maasai Mara and say a very good day to David.
A very good afternoon, everybody, and Jambo from Kenya. We are in the Mara Triangle, and my name is David. And coming with me today is Archie. Archie, how are you doing, sir? All looks good, and I'm not sure I'll be talking about leopards myself. I'll be talking about lions. I mean, I got better chances of seeing lions than leopards. Although once in a while we get surprises and we bump into leopards. Like the other day, I saw that shepherd tree male leopard and I was very excited. Well, my plans today is to go to the Sausage Republic. Sausage Republic is an area that you usually see a pride of lions that we call the Sausage Tree Pride. And it's still rather hot at the moment here. We are talking of 89 degrees Fahrenheit and 32 degrees Celsius. That is very hot. And the reason it's hot, it's because in the next few weeks we shall be getting our long rains. So that's how it goes. The temperatures are always going like this, that, then they stabilize. Then when they start coming down, the rains come. So those are my plans for today. And remember, I'm sure Steve already told you, our joy is always to get questions and comments from you. Hashtag Safari Live on Twitter as usual, and that keeps us going. We are always very interactive, and when we hear your voices and, getting questions from you or comments, it gives us more spirit to keep looking for animals. At the moment, I am driving southeast, and that's the road that takes me to those sausages that I love, or those lions that I love. Yesterday I was there, the whole afternoon. And for 3 hours, I did not see anything that related to a lion for a whole 3 hours. Now, one of the main reasons I want to keep going back there, or why I go there almost every other day, of that particular pride, there is one that is called the Kingtail that got brand new cubs. And nobody have seen those cubs because I go there every day, and I got friends of mine who also go there every day, and I also got the game rangers who are always in that particular area, and we are always in touch. And every 2 days we'll see Kingtail out, joining the other females for a little walk or for a drink or for having or being involved in a kill or being in a kill eating. But no cubs have been seen. About 2 weeks ago, I identified her den, which I would say 100% that was her den. She went in a place that they could not see her, and a few minutes later, I could hear the small cubs, talking to Mama. Now, I got a feeling she has moved her den to a new area, and that is where I do not know. But I'm not worried. It's by going there every other day that we'll be able to see them. Very good, very good. So I'll see you on the road, but again, as I have always said, on my way there, I could bump into anything on the way. And apart from myself and Steve, I think Ali is out and about, and he would like to say jumbo to all of you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Lovely to have you all on board on a day it feels that we're pretty much in the middle part of a volcano because it's so hot. So we've gotten very lucky today. We were actually set out to go and look for the new hyena den for the Juma clan, and it seems that according to the directions that we got given, it is somewhere in here and not too far, but it's a good thing that we have found a hyena lying down there already. So not too bad for a start of an afternoon. Seems like this morning as Steve was looking or following Hukumuri, then he came across the Juma clan, which is pretty good news because everyone's been desperate to be able to find the new den. Now, please remember that we are live and interactive, so if you've got any questions or comments, you can send them through using the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter, or you can just send us a comment using the @FC on the YouTube chat. Oh, you have actually got the best spot there. Oh, hello. Because it is hot today, and it's a lot better in the shade than what we are feeling right now. So as you can see, a lot of the animals are going to be doing just exactly this, as this beautiful hyena is. And just lying where it's nice and cool, where they don't really have to worry too much, and then they've all gone into this almost sort of a coma. I forgot my binos. Okay, I was trying to get a closer look because there's a lot of glare going on. I'm not too sure which hyena this is. I would say maybe one of the females, but I mean, a little bit hard to tell because also I'm looking at her through a screen just to try and see her better. But if you guys know, or the people that have been watching for a while, if you guys know which hyena this is, please do tell us using the hashtag SafariLive, as I would love to catch up and to remember who's who and what's been going on. It's been quite a while since I last saw the hyena, so I'm quite excited and quite hopeful that they'll have their den somewhere around here. Now I see a termite mound in the distance, and I wonder if perhaps that's not the one. So I think let's just go around, and we're going to leave her here. We know that this particular hyena, chances are that it's not going to go anywhere. And if it does, there are a few mud wallows around here. There's one just in front here to the left, and then there's another one to the right. So hopefully it'll go in there. Jennifer, potentially to the other reserves that are around us, the hyena clan the Juma clan is known as the Juma clan just because they tend to spend a lot of time here. So if it's not habitual for them to actually be on another spot, then everybody will know them as the Juma clan. But again, depends on the reserves. A lot of times other reserves will name them differently. But unfortunately with hyenas, not too many people take too much of an interest in terms of the guiding community around here. And then sometimes people just will refer to them as a clan of hyenas. Now, I think this is roughly where Steve mentioned where it is, and I can see some old vehicle trucks. And then if you see in front of us, there's a big termite mound. So I wonder if this is actually not the spot or the termite mound that they've been using. So I just want to go around see if there's anything around there that might indicate. Okay, well, there's a nice big hole in there. I would imagine this is the den. Now, that is what I presume to be the hole, though it doesn't look that used. And you see there's a lot of grass in front. So I would imagine that if there's all that grass in there, that potentially the hyenas haven't been coming in and out. Because when they've got little ones, and if it's quite a busy den, then you'll see a lot of tracks and movement and wouldn't have grass growing in the front. Now, I am roughly in the area, so we're going to carry on looking, see if perhaps there's another entrance onto the other side of this mountain. Perhaps that's the one that they've been using. If not, according to the directions we got, we shouldn't be too far. Maybe there's going to be another mound around here that might indicate where the hyenas are. Ah, this looks more like it. Alrighty, yeah, this looks definitely more like it. Now, you see this entrance over here. So this particular entrance, compared to the one that we just saw, it seems like it's been used a lot more. You see how there's very little grass around, a bunch of new tracks all around there, and then you can just tell that there's been excavated. You see the black there at the back, and then in there, inside of the termite mound, there's probably where the little ones are. I'm not too sure how many. I think they managed to have a glimpse of one today. I believe Corky was the hyena that was around this morning. So I have a very strong suspicion that if there are little ones around, they are in there. And I mean, it is, as we were saying, it's so hot this afternoon. It's about, I think Emma was saying 33, and we refused to accept that answer. And we said it was about 36 degrees Celsius. So I'm pretty sure the little ones are inside. Well, not only for protection, because the termite mound is their safe place where they hide, but also it's a lot cooler in there. So all the little ones are being clever already, and they've got 1 point on humanity. So hyenas 1, humans not even 0, because we are still very hot, and they're all in there enjoying the cool afternoon. Right, we're going to leave them around. We're going to try and check a little bit later, see if perhaps we can come across the hyenas. But in the meantime, we'll send you guys across to David, who's also looking for hyenas, but all the way in Kenya.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, as I said earlier, I could be heading to look for lions, but always along the way, so many things do happen. Now, I have found this particular ostrich, and it got some chicks. If you look carefully in the grass there, you can see some small little heads or small little birds just meandering through the grass, and that is, I would guess, their mother, or that's the female ostrich there. And this is the Maasai ostrich. And one, you can tell the height of the grass. See that it's covering all her legs. You can see her legs all the way to the thighs. And what I'm trying to do is see if I could go a little closer so that you can see those chicks. It's an ostrich I've been following for quite some time. She initially started with about 12 chicks when she first hatched. And then she lost 2. And I think she initially, 11, she lost 2, she was left with 9, and then she lost another 2, she was left with 7, and last month she lost 2, and she is now left with 5, but something tells me these 5, chances are, will make it. Let me just very slowly try and sneak on her. I might be a little quiet. And just look at that beauty there. And yes, I'm in the final controls. That's pretty awesome. And I mean, we got ostriches all over Africa, but sometimes they tend to disappear, or they tend not to be where we are, game driving or looking for animals. But on good days, we are always lucky to see them. Now, the last 2 times I've seen this female, she has been alone and not with male. And when they hatch out, or when they're incubating their eggs, you'll get the males incubating the eggs during the night and the females during the day, for the obvious reason. Blending. I mean, the males blend better at night. And you look at the color of that female, see the brown, and imagine the color of the grass or the color of the soil. She'll definitely blend in very well as she lays over her eggs during the day. Well, she got her mouth open, as Archie's showing you there. and that is an indication that she is quite hot. You remember I said the temperatures were in the high 80s. Now, I would say, Nancy, you'd like to know what ostriches eat. I would say ostriches are omnivores. I mean, like most birds, you see how they're flapping their wings there, Nancy? It's just because of how hot it is at the moment. I mean, Nancy, I'll tell you, ostriches are omnivores. Now, let's first look how they fare as vegetarians. If you look at them carefully, they're feeding on seeds of some kind, or seeds from the grass. They also feed on any fruit that they might pick as they walk through. They'll pick small little leaves, and they also eat actually blades of grass. So what basically I'm saying, they are vegetarians in that sense. But apart from that, they also will be seen eating small reptiles. Talk of lizards, talk of small chameleons. Should they even get, snakes, they'll feed on them, and they also feed on all sorts of insects they catch in the air. Locusts, grasshoppers, anything of that sort. But Nancy, just to let you know, unlike chicken or unlike hens that got what we call a crop, ostriches do not have a crop, but they got a particular very special stomach that you also get in chicken that is called a gizzard, and that gizzard has very muscular walls. And for food to be digested there, we have seen ostriches picking small little pebbles on the ground. They'll always pick small little particles of sand, which will help to digest other food in the gizzard. Now, the 5 chicks that you see there, apparently they could be both males and females. When we look at birds and look at the sexual dimorphism, ostriches, you can tell, females are brown or grayish in color, and males are black and white in color. But now, at that particular age, when they are, the 5 of them there, it's difficult to tell males from females. But anything like going to 8 months or so, they'll start changing the feathers, and the boys will start, showing different feathers of black and white, and the females will remain the same color. Well, I feel delighted to see these chicks that I had not seen for about 2 weeks now. I'll just carry on, going back to look for my lions. And I think Steve is working very hard to look for some cats.
Thanks, David. Well, we are melting in the seat right now. It is hot. It might not look that hot, but it is. That's Taylor's word, yo. I think she did an entire half an hour segment on the correct use of the word yo. I'm not going to enlighten you because it's just a wow, but more so. South African slang, yo. Hey, BK? Very commonly used, and it can mean many things. The heightening of any sort of thing. Exclamation, triple exclamation on the end. Yo. Anyway, we went around Sydney's Dam, nothing going on there. There was a herd of impala in the distance. Oh, just enjoying some shade, just like we're about to. Whew, what would we do without the trees? I think we'd all just be melting. Well, we are melting. And then I had some buffalo tracks coming in, and they went towards a small little pan just over there, but no luck finding them. Only about 3, maybe 4 buffalo bulls coming in. Probably trying to avoid the Nkuhuma pride. So the elephants have come up and down. There's some fresh tracks coming back in and south again. And we're going to see if we can follow them. But talking about buffalo, their favorite, or should I say the predator that loves them so much on this property, it seems like Ali has caught up with the Nkuhuma pride.
We do. They seem to love buffalo, and apparently they had a wonderful morning today. We all know that they got full bellies, which is good news because I think we were all concerned that they were looking a little bit hungry. Now, they are on a property that we unfortunately cannot go into, so we're looking at them from quite a distance. You can see just how far away and how well this lioness is blending with the environment. So I think it was a very good thing that she is very hot and panting, because then she's got her head up, and that made it a little bit easier for us to see. There is a pan, or well, more like a mud wallow not too far from where she is. So if she gets really, really hot, she can go down in there and have a drink. The rest of the pride is here. I'm not too sure how many of them because we can only see a few heads far behind from where she is, hiding behind a tree. So it's a little bit tricky trying to put the rest of them on camera. I know Seb is doing it well. You see that bush in the middle of your frame? They're behind it. Yeah, they're behind there somewhere, all lying down because it's very hot. So they're by the shade of a big tree, which is very clever of them. So as I was saying earlier, I feel like the lions are being very clever in, well, not just the lions, the hyenas clearly as well, but all the animals are a little bit more clever than us humans driving around in the heat. But the good thing about the heat is that because it makes animals be a little bit more static, if I can use that description, because a lot of them are just going to chill by the shade or close to a pan, and they're not going to be moving too much in the heat. A lot of them don't have sweat glands, and they use their mouth to pant, to cool themselves down, just as this lioness is doing. So we can tell that she's very hot. So they're not going to be moving around, creating even more heat for themselves or making themselves even more hot. And they're just going to pretty much stick around in the same spot throughout the day until they decide that it is enough, and then they're going to go and start moving again, potentially a little bit later. And as we know, the lions are pretty full, so there's a very good chance that they'll just stick around here until the night falls, and then they'll move out. Oh, hi, Megan. Oh, look. Sorry, I got distracted there because we've got a second lioness coming to join her, which is good. And she does look like she's enjoying lying down there in the shade, and perhaps this other one, or the second one that has now approached, is going to go down for a drink. Are you? Or are you just going to lie down? Interesting. You can see those bellies. They're looking happy and full. Look at that. That is a happy lion. It's a lion that's well fed. There's a third one coming around. All right, guys. Well, if you want to move and then contradict me and then cross onto our side, I'll be very happy to be wrong. All right. Well, this is good when they start appearing, and then we can start counting them. So we've got lion number 4 joining the party. Maybe we should count them by their bellies. We can, roundness number 4 coming in. Looks like I summoned them, Emma. Well, it's the power of my mind. It doesn't always work. I cannot control it. It's a mystery to me when it's going to work and when it's not. But good that they are coming in. I don't think there's too much shade for you there, guys. I mean, it'll be a lot smarter if you just carried on coming onto twin dams. We've got lovely jackalberry trees that you can go and lie under. Alrighty, are you looking for water, miss? Seems like she might be looking. We wonder where she's gonna go. Maybe she's gonna go for a bit of water. There is more shade in there, so maybe she's gonna go there. Philip, yes, these are the Nkuhumas. Not all of them. We've counted 5 of them, so we're missing about 6 of them. But I'm pretty sure that they're going to be lying just like this ones are in the back of the tree over there. So I wouldn't be surprised that some of them have eaten maybe a little bit more, or they're just like, no, it's too hot to move around. We've got a nice shady spot here. We are going nowhere. So it's very nice of them at least to have come onto the shade just as we arrived and then pop this way here, because otherwise it would have been not the greatest visual. Now, because they have eaten as much as they have, I don't think they're going to be hunting too actively tonight unless they manage to find a great opportunity, in which case they'll probably take it. But I think at least for one evening they are going to be able to enjoy just almost like not a busy night in terms of hunting, because the last few days that we've seen them, they've been very moving all over the show, and they've covered quite a distance in the last few nights. I think just hearing from the stories as to where Tristan tracked them from, it seems like they used Juma as a gym, the Juma gym as we call it, because they went up and down, potentially just looking for different prey species and for an opportunity to bring something down and eat it. And even though apparently they had a water buck this morning, they finished it and move off, and it gets complicated when there are so many lions. 5 females, a water buck would have been enough, but then of course, and you've got another 6 sub-adults that are joining the party, so they will eat a lot, and so it's not too much. It's a good meal for lions. We can see that they've all have big fat round bellies, but perhaps not enough to keep them locked in the same spot for too long. We're going to carry on counting our lions as they come from the shade, and we'll let you guys know just how many we see. But in the meantime, let's head over to James, who's very eager to say good afternoon to everyone.
Hello everybody, we are going to count sand at the moment. We can find a lot of sand. How are you today, Sunday afternoon, as it is, on this, the 10th of February already, the year 2019? Anno Domini, can you believe it, David? Feels like just yesterday it was 3 BC, but it isn't anymore. It's very hot here, everyone. Not as hot as it has been. And we are driving at this incredibly slow Miss Daisy speed. Not because it is Sunday afternoon and this is the appropriate speed to drive on a Sunday, which of course it is. It is simply because we are trying desperately to find sign of Tandy or Tlalamba. Tundi or Tlalamba. And we have as yet not managed. And so that's our plan. We're sort of the north middle of the reserve on a road called Hyena Road. And as I do like to tell you, of course, you can find those roads on the Google Maps for Djuma. The more laid out there, so if you want to go and see exactly where we are, you can. But the bush is thick here, and that means that if there happens to be a leopard lying under a bush merely, I don't know, a few meters off the road, it's going to be very difficult to spot. We would very much like to Tlalamba for our TV show, which is, of course, at 6:30 Central African Time, 7:30 East African Time, and I have absolutely no idea what time it is wherever you happen to be, because I don't know where you are. Somewhere near tomorrow if you're in Australia, and somewhere near yesterday if you're in Hawaii. I've just had the following communication from the final control. We are going to go across to Steve, who is sending off his flive.
Yes, well, there go the warthogs. Sorry, guys, I didn't mean to chase you out of the shade. They're about 60 meters from us, and as soon as the camera panned on them, they disappeared. I do indeed have flies, and a very nifty fly swatter in the form of a magic guarri. And, well, we also believe, it is believed if you adorn yourself or your building or your vehicle with magic guarri branches, you're going to bring some luck. So, well, as James said, it's SABC show this evening. We would like... Oh, there we go. There's a kudu right there. As soon as we put this branch on, we found a kudu, 2 warthogs, 4 impala, and a kudu again. So I think so far the luck... Oh, here's a magnificent bull coming here, BK. Oh, not that magnificent, actually. He's a nice bull. He's got a little bit of growing still to do. His horns quite close together. But look at that. The luck is on our side all of a sudden as he lifts his tail. Not in any form of aggression. It's just he is having a poo. That is simple as that. You know, when you take your dog for a walk, what happens within 2 minutes of the dog walking? Yes, indeed. We all know. He decides, I'm now going to drop a little log on the floor. And it was BK's job to assist me this morning. Those of you who missed the excitement this morning, we did not put it live on TV because we thought, well, it's pretty gross. But BK managed to bottle a little bit of Hukumuri's droppings this morning, a little bit of his scat for DNA tests to find out who exactly his father is. And then by finding that, we'll also be able to find out who, in fact, he is the father of, which is very exciting stuff. Hukumuri. Well, this is the area a little bit further from here that we found him yesterday. And I don't think these kudu have got too much to worry, especially the male from a big male leopard. Kudu generally are safe. Oh, that was BK made a very funny noise on the back with his foot. It sounded like a leopard roaring behind me. It wasn't, it was just his foot. But look at how the kudu walks. 1 foot steps exactly where the other one was before. Typical of the Tragolaphus, the spiral-horned families. But the kudu looks very awkward out in the open, doesn't it? It stood out quite well there. And as soon as it goes into the thickets, and it really does blend in. So it is a thicket specialist or sort of semi-woodland specialist, and that is where they reside. And I'm thinking that these two, plus the impalas and the warthogs we had a little while ago, have come from a red dam in the west. And they've gone to have a drink, and they're slowly making their way back. This being the time of day when it is the hottest, and, well, the chances of lions being willing or active enough to try and catch them is quite limited. So, although a lot of energy expended to walk to the watering hole, there is less opportunity for predators to be active in the heat to try and catch them. So there's a sort of payoff there. But see how well the kudu has just disappeared into the shade, and that's probably where they're going to spend the rest of the afternoon. After getting a lot of water in the belly, it's time to go and feed on the juicy, delicious leaves. Or maybe with the water in his belly, he'll now decide to do a little bit of ruminating, possibly on a whole lot of leaves he has already ingested. Well, we're going to leave this beautiful kudu hidden behind a guarri bush and a buffalo thorn, and we're going to continue on seeing what we might be able to find. But in the meantime, while we try and get ourselves such a lovely breeze coming right now, oh, that's wonderful, we're going to blow you all the way back up to the Maasai Mara with David in search of the sausage tree pride.
Well, it's very interesting just to let you know that the kudu, we do not have any kudus in the Mara. But further north of Kenya, or further north of the equator, we got kudus, and we got two types of kudus, unlike in Juma or unlike in South Africa. We got what we call the greater kudu and the lesser kudu. And I've always wondered why we don't have the kudus in the Mara. And my only quick thinking would be we do not have the right habitat to have the kudus in the Mara. Either one, the elevation is too high. Two, it could be too cold for them. And maybe the type of diet we have here could not be very good or palatable to the kudus. So the kudus are more of dry areas, or what I would call semi-arid habitats. So we do not have any kudus in the Mara. And I'm trying to think of what animal that could be close to the kudus here. And I don't see any, because when you look at the spiral horns, of the males of the kudus, and I'm trying to remember which one could be similar to the kudus. Shadow, you'd like to know whether we get white rhinos in the Mara. Good question, but no, we do not get white rhinos in the Mara. The Mara, and I would say Kenya as a country, we have always had the black rhinos. And we got areas in Kenya where we got white rhinos, but I tell you, the white rhinos were introduced here in Kenya. They are not native to Kenya. So all the rhinos we got in the Mara are all black rhinos, which are indigenous to this particular area. And even after the introduction of the white rhinos in Kenya, they did very well. We now got some national parks that we call sanctuaries. Like there's one called Lake Nakuru, and I think they got over 50 white rhinos there. And they blended in and they did very well. So we have been seeing the numbers growing steadily along the years. So once in a while here in the Mara, we also end up seeing rhinos when you're lucky. So I have now officially gotten to my destination, which was the area where normally the sausage tree pride stays around or stick around. And yesterday I was rather frustrated when I came here and I did not see any one of them. And 3 days earlier, they had a buffalo kill. So I went back to the kill. I did not see even a single hyena. There were no traces of where they went. And unlike Juma, where you can always follow tracks, on the road, on the ground, in the Mara, it's practically impossible to do that. Even during the dry times or dry seasons like now, I mean, the grass is everywhere, and we'll always end up with some bare ground, like what you see ahead of me, simply because we keep passing here. This is a road for doing game drives, but it's almost impossible, difficult. As the Franklin flying out there, it's almost impossible to say, aha, I can see some tracks here, so let me just follow them. It's too very tough. We will always come and just stop the car and get a binos and just scan across the grass. Or if you're very lucky, you're driving along the road and a cat could be very close to the road. Richard Bridge, you're asking about the Olololos and the cub. Now, the last I had was 2 days ago, and the female in the Olololo pride is doing very well with her 2 cubs. And I'll tell you, apparently, I have a passion for lions, and I don't know how to explain this. It becomes difficult if you get bonded to a particular pride, and then you hear of the Olololos, you're like, all right, they're doing fine. You hear of another pride like the Salt Lake pride, they're doing fine, and you won't even bother. But this particular pride here that I'm talking about, I have been coming here every day that I'm in the Mara. So I cannot tell you, how big the cubs are or whether they have any issues. But the last update I got of that female of the Olololo pride is that they are doing fine. Maybe tomorrow, next week, for the drives, I might go in that particular area and see their progress firsthand. But in the meantime, I just want to stick around and follow this particular pride. I'm sure you know there's one female here that gave birth called the Kingtail, and she has not shown us her cubs. She has, I don't know, I would say she has not even introduced the cubs to the main pride. And my guess is either they are still too young, and because she is the oldest female in this particular pride, she's, I would say, very experienced. She's very careful, and she doesn't want to commit her cubs or expose them to any danger, because anything from 0 to 3 months, lion cubs are always very vulnerable, and anything would easily go wrong. I'm sure I will get my pride of lions, because Ali is very proud. She already got the Nukuhumas, I guess.
Well, I mean, we can't really claim all that credit for this particular sighting. It's very hard for the lions to be moving out and about right now. You can see that hiding in the long grass, belly up, panting very quickly. It's a good day to be a lion. I mean, in the shade, the temperature, I would imagine, is a lot better than out here in the heat of the day or out where there's no shade. So you can see they've all strategically placed themselves in different parts just to try and stay away from the heat, of course. They're not all lying around here. They've somewhat scattered and they're all lying around different bushes, but we have counted 11 different ones. So we can testify, or we can really affirm that the entire Nkuhuma Pride is here with us today, which is pretty good. So just hoping that they're going to come onto the property, or at least out of the bushes, so that they can be stars on tonight's show. That will be pretty good. If not, well, it's always lovely to see them, and it's the reason why we do this, is the job that we do. We love having the lions around. We love seeing what they get up to. Oh, it seems like the last lioness is now coming. They've all pretty much walked the same path, and she's going straight as to where the rest of the family was. Rosalind, they've got a few different strategies to survive the heat, the lions. So one, or a very common one, is exactly what they're doing right now, is not to move in the heat of the day, or not to move during the day, and they'll just lie under a tree or in the shade where it's a few degrees much cooler than what it is out and about everywhere where we've been. Let me just try to move back, see if this lioness is gonna come, because I can't see her now. She's behind the one tree. So let me just move around for 1 second. So that is one strategy that they've got. And then, of course, they pant often to try and cool themselves down by trying to evaporate some of the moisture that they collect in their mouth with in their nostrils and so on. So those are, I would say, are mostly the two main things. And they're, of course, by instinct very clever, and they know not to work themselves too hard or start running or do too much when it's really hot, because that can, of course, test their body and their limits and then just put them in a very bad condition, because they can also get heat stroke, very much in the sense or in the way that a domestic dog or a cat can do. You wouldn't really lock them in a place where it's hot, because then if they've got no shade or water, or if they start running around like crazy during the heat of the day, chances are that something is not going to go down too well for them. Somebody had a nice meal. They're always so funny with their big fat stomachs once they manage to eat a lot. Now, they've all, like we said, they've all scattered in all the different areas. So very likely in the next little while, they're all going to poof, plunk their heads, go onto the bottom, and lie down. Is this almost looks like a little bit, you are them again, boy, huh? Okay, I was referring to you as a she, I'm so sorry. Unfortunately, with the glare and the distance, and I seem to have misplaced my binoculars today, I cannot see everything to the detail, but that extra fur underneath the chin, now that it laid sideways, it's a definite signal that it's actually a male lion or a young male lion and not a female. Good. Seems like they're all around here. I think we're going to leave them and then come back a little bit later in the hopes that they're going to be more active. In the meantime, let's go to Steve. And I think the heat has finally gotten to him.
Thanks, Ali. I would feel very lost if I'd lost my binoculars as a part of me. But if you can't find shade, folks, you need to make your own shade. Ooh, here's a little Senegal lapwing just over here. He's enjoying some shade. Oh, he's moving now. Don't move. Very nice little lapwing, the Senegal. Not commonly seen, actually, in many areas I've been. I've only in 2 locations I've ever worked, I found them. Quite easy to identify. We talk about birds and identifying birds, and you can see they've got very long legs and very upright sort of standing posture. And if you go to the lapwings in the book, they all have that same sort of look, that very big eye, generally occurring in sort of open landscapes. The blacksmith lapwing obviously being the black and white variation, and they occur in and around water. The Senegal lapwing, very, very common on sort of overgrazed and sort of disturbed areas where they seem to find their preference. The other one, the crown lapwing, much easier to identify than the Senegal. It's got that very nice sort of cap on the head, and they like to be on golf courses as well as open areas. So very easy to identify the lapwings from each other. There's another one called the wattled lapwing, and let me ask you if you could understand what that would be. And yes, indeed, got funny little wattles on the face. And well, these birds walk around and they feed on all sorts of insects on the ground. They might feed on small seeds as well, but primarily insect eaters. And they've lost their back toe. Most ground-dwelling birds, not all of them, but most ground-dwelling birds have lost the back toe, like David's ostrich. They've reduced their toes altogether to fuse 2 in the front and have a second one on the side for balance. And that's all about just surface area, really, on the ground. Thick knees and coursers and lapwings, most wading birds have all lost a toe on their foot. They've reduced it to 3 toes just for walking, not for perching. They don't perch at all. That's where the passerines, or the 3-toed birds that have toes on the same level, they need their back toe so they can stay in the bush free from predators at night, whereas these guys will just sort of bed down right where they are on the ground. The second one behind there, you see the white belly, a little bit of a white forehead as well, and very, very nice to see. There you can see the foot at the back there, just the 3 toes. Chatwa, you said something about lapwings. I'm not sure what you said there, Emma, but Chatwa said something about talking about lapwings. Well, this is a very nice lapwing to see. It's one of the lapwings most people don't get to see. Yes, indeed, Chatwa. I was hiding as a bush, and they want to come and stand in my shade. Yeah, I am a talking bush, and that's why I'm able to get so much closer to these birds than I would normally. Well, they're seeking out shade. It is very hot, folks, and well, the birds have a benefit over us in that their insulation or their feathers repel most of the sunlight, but unfortunately, once they reach a certain limit of heat, then they get very, very hot. They don't have the same ability to cool down that we have. So when you have the lapwings and the like this standing in the shade, then you know it is a warm afternoon. Many feathers are designed to actually reflect light, so that many of the blackbirds that you see, the iridescent birds, they almost reflect the heat completely, and they can stand or sit in the sun quite sort of free of overheating. You'll notice that with the vultures and lots of birds of prey. They don't really have anywhere to go except for sitting in the tree and just waiting. They can't just pop down onto the ground and go into the shade like these lapwings do. There we go, there's 3 of them now all of a sudden. Constantly being, you see how vigilant they are, even though it's so hot. Very vigilant. But if they just sit down, it's amazing how quickly they can blend in to the short grass and just disappear. Okay, well, we're going to move on, head on down to our boundary road, make a turn past where the hyena den we found this morning is located. I don't think there's going to be too much activity for now, but we're going to go have a look anyway. Let's go back up to the Mara in the meantime with David.
Steve, will keep moving on. It's because it's by moving that things will happen, not staying in one same place. And that's exactly what I'm also doing. I have been moving, and I'm also moving. I'm not stopping until I get myself some reward of some kind, just like Ali, who got the lion. So me and Steve have to move until we get cut over on. Well, why I'm saying that is because I have come back to the very first place I saw Kingtail, and where I think she gave birth to. But ideally, that doesn't mean she's still there, because what would happen is she will need to keep changing her location every now and then. So let me see, there's a little bee-eater there. I'm not sure how you can get it. You see that small little thing there? I'm sure it's going to be tough. I'm not sure. I know you are magical when it comes to camera. This little bee-eater there. And right behind that bee-eater, yes, if you go there and you zoom in, well done. Keep going. Just sail there. To get it right. Or just flew away, yeah. See it? It's a little bee-eater there. So that I can see it now. Yeah, excellent. Very good. Oops. Back to the same position. Flying coming back. So behind that bee-eater, that is the very first den where Kingtail dropped her cubs. And it's so good, at least for me, at least to see a bee-eater in an area I've been 2-3 times not seeing anything. But right behind those thickets is where Kingtail is one of the females in the sausage tree pride. And that's bee-eater. Very good question there. You're worried, or you're asking about the missing cubs for Mitty. Now, nothing to worry about before the moment, because the very first time I saw one missing, and I saw her with 3 cubs. And 3 days ago, I saw her with 2 instead of even 3. And it's like the numbers were coming down. But when I saw her with 2, Kingtail Avi was not there. And my own gut told me, chances are Kingtail stayed back with Mitty's other 2 cubs. So for now, there's nothing to worry. And I'm sure, Avi, you know, lionesses will always just circle each other's cubs without any discrimination. So Kingtail having her own cubs and having cubs, you know, of Mitty should not have been a problem. That's what I'm crossing my fingers for. But I can tell you, between today or tomorrow, the day after, we shall be knowing exactly how things look. You remember we at one point, Mitty had lost 1 cub. You know, lost in quotes, because after 3 days, you know, the cub surfaced and was able to rejoin the pride. So even this particular time, nothing very big to worry. And that particular time, the cub had fallen in the ditch, and I think Mitty will not bring it out. So the beeter there, not all of them, will eat bees, as the name suggests. They'll eat any insect that'll be flying. All right, beeters, let's see what bird Steve is talking about.
Yes, well, welcome back. We have found ourselves a cuckoo that is trying to hide in the shade as well. On the edge of a branch of that marula tree, it's been sitting with its mouth. It's still got its mouth wide open, trying to cool down. You can see there's a little bit of a breeze there from the wind, and that is a beautiful spot. A little bit of elevation for the cuckoo, and the wind blowing over the lips, or should I say, the wet tongue, is what helps birds to cool down. That is their cooling system. It's a term called gullah fluttering. Now, I can't tell you for certain which cuckoo it is. It's either the common cuckoo or the African cuckoo. They've both got a yellow eye, and they've both got a yellow beak. Just the degree of yellowness on the beak is the key, really. There's more yellow at the base on the African than on the common cuckoo, but the call is often what you go by. Often the cuckoo, the African cuckoo calls, and the cuckoo does not. So if you're calling, there's a very good chance that it is the African. And I'll play this for you out so that you know. It's a very, very typical sort of cuckoo call. Are you ready for it? Nico, can you hear that? He's saying cuckoo. Very simple, like the cuckoo clock, really. You want to know if this bird occurs in Japan? Well, I'm not aware of it occurring in Japan. They basically are migrants in Africa. So I don't know what cuckoos you get over in Japan. I'm really not sure. But this bird goes up into middle Central Africa, and then comes all the way back down here again. It doesn't go into Europe, where the common cuckoo does indeed go all the way to Europe. This one comes down. So main migration routes of birds are normally sort of down on the continent, not across. So none of our birds go from Africa over to the Americas. Some come from Asia all the way down, but they follow the continent. I'm not sure what Japan is like, whether the ocean is a bit too far for birds to get across. But that is out of my depth, I'm afraid, for now. But it's possible you get cuckoos in Japan. Really is, but I absolutely have no idea. Specialists, that's what these birds come all the way down here for. Most of the cuckoos, or pretty much all the cuckoos, they've come all the way down to feed on the blooms of caterpillars that hatch on many of the trees out here. And they are obviously the larvae, which then form the butterflies. And so not only are they an important food source, they defoliate leaves of trees, and also they turn into butterflies, which then are very important pollinators for thousands of the plants that we found around here. Now, this is going to be one of the bravest around, if it is indeed the African cuckoo. I'm just going to assume it is, because they're a little bit more commonly seen than the common, although the name might imply. They parasitize the fork longer. Now, those who are new to the show or not too sure what I mean by parasitize, cuckoos will basically lay their eggs in a host species nest and then leave, requiring no parental care. They lay lots of eggs. They cause a bit of havoc with the host species itself, and the host itself then raises those chicks to adulthood. And there's many strategies that the cuckoos employ. Some of them will remove the egg and then lay an egg down, because somehow birds are able to count. The female comes back and knows whether there's 3 eggs versus 4. So if they just lay a 4th egg, there's a very good chance that they will just kick it out. So some cuckoos will remove the egg. Other cuckoos, when they hatch, the chick will kill all of the chicks in the nest, and some of them will actually be reared with the chicks themselves, getting much bigger than they do and out-competing them all together. So it's very funny when you see a fork-tailed drongo feeding a bird that's almost twice its size. Well, anyway, from our cuckoo in the shade, we're going to try find some more shade. Let's go up to James, who's up in the northeast of the property around Buffelshoek Dam.
Yes, indeed, we have got a grey heron sitting at Buffelshoek Dam. That grey heron has not wiped its beak after its Sunday lunch, you can see there. It is gular fluttering up a storm. In other words, it's trying to cool down, but also it's got a bit of its lunch stuck on the end of its beak. Very unfortunate. Now, I think that's the least attractive bird that we have here. Not that it's an unattractive bird necessarily, but we have a flamingo over to the right-hand side. Can you see the flamingo, David, with a red beak? Yellow beak, sorry. That flamingo. Now, obviously, that's not a flamingo. It's a yellow-billed stork. But if it turns its back, you can see it's actually very pink. Now, Orly and I were here yesterday, and we were talking about these things with you and amongst each other. And he gave a very nice explanation, which I actually didn't know about, for why it is or what the differences are in the feeding behavior of the yellow-billed stork, aka flamingo, and the spoonbill, which is just off to the left. There they are. And I suppose I probably could have read about this, but I certainly hadn't. Orly managed to find a dead spoonbill one day. He didn't collect it, as they say in scientific terms. In other words, he didn't shoot it out of the sky and then examine it. They found one when he was at the Tracker Academy at Londolozi. And they opened its beak up, obviously, and it is apparently like sandpaper. And what that sandpapery, spoon-shaped beak allows them to do is catch slippery fish and frogs, tadpoles, I suppose, as well. But largely fish, in most areas, is what they eat, and it allows them to catch those fish with that sandpapery beak. Now, you'll find that... Whoa, here comes the heron. You'll find what they do is that they feed in a much more aggressive fashion than the stork will. The stork walks very slowly through the water like a heron does, with its beak down, and if it senses the slightest movement on its feet or near its beak, it will quickly snap down, and that is its strategy, whereas the spoonbill sort of disturbs the mud and tries to get things to flush out of the way, and then it'll snap shut on them, and because it's got that sandpapery beak, it'll manage to hold them. So that is the story there. Now, we have found some tracks of Thandi and Tlalamba, which is excellent news. Well, actually just Tlalamba. She was coming towards this waterhole. We haven't managed to see her here, and so we're going to continue our search for her pretty soon. There, of course, is the great Scuba Steve and his lady. Scuba, let's hope you hold on to your lady until the 14th of this month, of course. Gemma, no, birds don't sweat. Birds gular flutter or pant, which is what that heron was doing. Sorry, the game drive radio is going to result in the explosion of my brain. Okay, I've turned it off now. They've got this pouch in their throats that they flap up and down, and it's moist, and so through evaporative cooling they manage to cool the blood that is going over that pouch. So it's a little bit like panting in a dog, and that's how they cool themselves, but they can't sweat. Those feathers are tremendously good insulators though as well, so it'll take a lot longer for them to get hot than it would for you and I to get hot. But once they do get hot, then they are very hot. They of course swim a lot too, birds. They like to get in the water and swim. In the case of the spoonbills, they seem to be having a Sunday afternoon nap. You see that, David? They've all gone to sleep. They've put their spoons behind their wings, and they're having a nap. My mother would thoroughly approve. Except it's now 5 o'clock, which means probably time for tea. Yes? And scones. Wouldn't it be nice if we had some tea and cream scones, hey? I think it'd be delicious. Tea and cream scones at Buffelshoek Dam. Oh, that would be wonderful. Just thick cream and a little dollop of strawberry jam, nice thin scone, some hot Earl Grey, or normal tea, it doesn't matter. Either will do. No, not going to happen, is it, David? No matter how much I will it to happen. All right, let's carry on. We're going to try and continue to find Lalamba for the TV show, and for you, of course. We have an hour left with you. Well, most of you, of course, will be with us for the TV show anyway. So I'm going to do a little turnaround here, and then we'll go back the way we came and see what we can come up with. Apparently a number of you are saying you're going to go and buy some scones. Now, you mustn't do that because they will almost certainly be disgusting. You must make them. They're very easy to make. My mother always said it's the first thing she learned to make, and her mother wouldn't know. She was a domestic science teacher, believe it or not, my mother's mother, my grandmother. And scones you can make very easily. Bit of butter, flour. Don't use margarine, please, whatever you do. Butter, flour, a little bit of baking powder, tiny little bit of sugar, pinch of salt in the oven, and you'll have a lovely fluffy scone. Whatever you do, don't go and buy one, because some cretinous company will have put all sorts of preservatives and things in them so that they don't actually have to put food in the food that you buy. I mean, why would you have food in the food that you buy? So rather make them. And whip the cream yourself. Don't get it out of a can. Because, again, you know, all sorts of nonsense and that stuff. All right, let's go back to the Vov now. I don't know where he is, but he is with a hyena, which sounds very exciting indeed.
Middle. Up. Oh, welcome back, everybody. We just had a kingfisher, woodland kingfish. There he is. He's coming down to probably wet himself with his little pan just over here. And he's trying to think whether it's a good idea because, well, in the pan, on this side of the pan that we spotted was a spotted hyena. I'm not sure who. But there we go, bottom of the screen. And just off to our right-hand side, about 20 meters or so, is the den site that we located this morning, or should we say Hukumuri helped us to locate this morning. And I am super jealous of this hyena sitting in this little bath of water because it looks very, very cool, doesn't it? Doesn't it, BK? We're a little bit envious of this hyena. I'm not sure who it is. If it turns its left ear, I might see, but I don't know. Very hard to identify them when they're lying flat like this. And the kingfisher is still sitting there, trying to think whether the hyena is dangerous enough to flop down in the water and have a little bit of a bath. Because that's another way birds cool down. They bath, but they will flap down into the water, wet themselves. A very quick sort of dip, enough to not waterlog their feathers so that they drown, enough just to get them wet. And then they go sit on a branch like that, cleaning themselves, moving the water through the feathers, and then, if need be, they will preen once again, getting all the oil refreshed on the feathers and zipping all of their flight feathers back to where they were. In sort of heat times of the day, when activity is very low because of the heat, birds will often spend a lot of time in the shade doing just that, sort of fixing and redoing all of their feathers. Ravinda, you hope it's Corky. Okay, well, the heads up now, it's definitely not Corky. Corky's the only one I'm very confident at identifying straight away. But to the left ear, there does not have the notch. But if you were not watching this morning, folks, we followed Hukumuri, who led us straight to the den site, and he actually spotted some of the cubs, which then disappeared into the ground. I didn't see them, but Rexon was here with us, and he was like, hyena den. And Hukumuri was looking very intently at the hole, and out of nowhere, the matriarch Corky came storming in, and she chased the hook away. Isn't she such a good mum? And then we went through a raging debate about who would win in a battle, Corky or Hukumuri. Maybe we should do an afternoon debate on that as well. What do you all think? Hashtag Safari Live. Who would win in a one-on-one fight, Hukumuri or the matriarch Corky? Send through your answers. Let's see what you think. Now I've got my opinions, of course. Oh, that looks just way too comfortable. Way too comfortable there, hyena. Way too comfortable. Oh, look at that. It's just getting more and more comfortable. That's not fair. That's not fair, is it, BK? This is the afternoon you wish you were sipping cool Kool-Aid by the swimming pool, you know. I was in Mozambique last week and the weather was similar to this, but I had a swimming pool at the place I stayed at and we were on the beach. So it was very easy to keep cool. You just had maybe a minute or two of being hot and then you were cool again, and then it was just a constant process of bathing oneself. Is one of the things. We need to come up with a solution for keeping ourselves cool. I have forgotten my spray bottle today. I normally have a spray bottle with cool water that I normally spray myself. And Joy, you reckon hands down, or should we say paws down, Corky for the win. Okay, very interesting. Corky for the win. Definitely when it comes to being around the den site, I mean, Corky will tolerate nothing since her lion encounter at the old den site. Any leopard coming nearby is going to catch her wrath. I mean, to survive a lion mauling means you must be one tough cookie. I don't know if any of you watched the show when I was up in the Mara. We actually did a special broadcast as well when we were with the Sausage Tree Pride. We were with 5 lionesses that were walking, and suddenly this sort of injured hyena came into shot. And, well, the lionesses decided that this is fun, and all 5 of them gave it a proper hammering. And the hyena managed to get away with a whole lot of squeals and shouts and managed to bite one of the lionesses on the nose. Which obviously probably led that lioness to think twice. It was quite a small hyena. You would have thought 5 lions would easily have killed it. But incredible, the hyena was walking on its 2 front sort of feet as if the paws were broken. And somehow, as soon as the lion started to chase it, it managed to muster up the strength to run at full speed. But obviously a hyena over short distance is no match for a lioness. And they caught it as we went live on that broadcast. And, well, it ended quite well, I suppose, for the hyena. We didn't see it afterwards, but it seemed to get away. And we know these animals are extremely resilient and they get mauled all the time. They fight each other all the time. And somehow they just come out the other side with just a few scratches and scrapes. Well, talking about the wide open expanses of the Mara and the Sausage Tree Pride, no one knows them better than David Gitu.
Very good debate there. Took of hyenas and lions and all their dynamics. But I've seen, like here we are in the Mara, if there's any confrontation between hyenas and lions, in general, the hyenas will always win. As much as, of course, it depends on, the numbers. Of course, the numbers make a very big difference. Of course, if like many lions against 1 or 2 hyenas, definitely the lions will win. But in general, we get very big clans in the Mara of hyenas. There's one especially called the North Clan, which has like 70, 80 hyenas, you can imagine. And that's a very huge number by any standard. And they have been known to deal with any prey of lions wherever they find them, especially if they know they got a kill. And I'm sure you know how sensitive hyenas are. They got very sharp hearing. And as soon as they can pick crunching of bones somewhere by lions, it doesn't take long before they get there. And what they'll do, they'll start whooping and they'll send the lead hyenas, especially the females, to go and survey whether they see, outguess a lot of meat left from the kill, and then they're going to call the others, and then they go whooping. Whoop. Then you see them coming in 2s, then 4s, then you see that a number of like 10. As the lions continue eating, you'll notice they'll start intimidating them by making themselves look big. They cock up the tails, the numbers swell, and they whoop. They even get more louder. and the lions get irritated, and ideally they just leave the kill and move on. Anyhow, those are the lions of the hyenas of the Mara. I'm trying to find out where these lions would be, and because of the heat of the day, I'm imagining because they got the cubs, they're all under some shades hiding, and I think Steve is getting lucky with hyenas.
We are indeed, David. You should try and employ the magic guari branch on the head. It has proved to be very, very fortunate for us this afternoon. And, well, now we have turned around. We left that one hyena just there by the pool, and we turned the corner only 30 meters or so to find who I believe, I could be completely wrong, to be Pretty, with her bottom inside the termite mound. This is where Rexon saw the young pups, or cubs, should I say, pop down at the approach of Hukumuri this morning. And it's definitely not Corky, because Corky's got a notch in her left ear. So please, those of you out there, if you can tell me if this is Pretty, I'd love to know. I'm trying to open my, what you call it? Yes, it's working. Very good. My phone is working. I was in a very bad signal area, so I might be able to get these images out to be able to make sure I know who I'm looking at. But without looking at the body patterning and the spots on the side, it's very difficult to identify these hyenas. But we know that both Pretty and Corky had cubs, so it's possible that because her bottom's in there, that she is one of the mothers. Okay. And she's got a very nice... No, that's definitely not Pretty who's sitting there. I'm going to have to go through all of them to find out who exactly we are looking at. And Pretty's also got a bit of a notch in her ear, which makes it a little bit tricky. Yes, Joy. Thanks, Joy. I've just noticed that on my app that she's got another... She's also got a notch on her left ear, but a different place to Corky. And Joy reckons it might be heart. Okay, Joy, thanks for that. I'm going to have a look and see. I really need to put some effort in over the next little while to find out who these actually are. Because, well, it's very tricky for me, hyenas. I need to really put a lot of time in here. But Jamie has put in a lot of effort into the app, well, not the app, but our database. So it is important for us to get involved and to find out who is who and what's going on. But I'll have a look for Heart. I've found an image for her. Let me have a look and see if it appears to be her. She's a very pretty hyena. No obvious scars on the face. The ears are in very good condition. But I noticed when I was out with Lauren the one day, we were using her ID kit that day, and the lines and spots along the body seem to be the best way to identify them. And unfortunately for now, she's lying flat. But maybe we'll be lucky and the youngsters will pop out. But for now, I think the hyenas have been watching or listening to me over. Mrs. Tate is most certainly a hyena. Thank you so much for your observations. It is definitely a hyena. And it is on a termite mound. And I think the hyena have been listening to my stories since I got back from Mozambique, because they've got their own pool just here, mere meters away from their home. Because in the heat, there's nothing nicer than a swimming pool close by. And while these hyenas have taken advantage of that, they don't have to walk very far to drink and to cool down. The other den sites have always have to walk a little bit further, but obviously walking distance for a hyena is really nothing, not too much effort. But right now, it's very, very easy. And you can see this one's even lying in the shade. Okay, so Heart doesn't have any nicks or tears in her ears. She also doesn't have any noticeable scars on her face. So this could be... There's no scars at all. She's got all sorts of interesting markings on her side, though. She's got a music-like note on the one, like the one her brother gets a name from. Besides that is a sideways question mark of spots beneath. Okay, so I've got a nice little image here that if she decides to stand up, I'll be able to have a look. But right now, it's very hard to identify. Anyway, we will spend time here. Hopefully the youngsters will come out. BK and I have managed to find a beautiful shady spot. So we're quite happy to stay here for the time being. And while we do that, let's go over to Ali and see exactly what she's up to.
Well, yes, lucky the wind has come down. It almost feels like that pre-rain wind, or the wind that's going to build a cloud buildup. Of course, that's not the best choice of words, but it feels like it might just cool down, and hopefully we'll get some rain at some point, because it's been very hot today. Seems like Steve scooped the opportunity to go and check the hyena den, which is good. Suppose very nice to see the little ones. Always wonderful. And I feel sorry for Jamie. She was so keen to try and find them, but Murphy's Law, as it would happen, the person that wants to see them the most, or that's put in the most effort, is the person that's going to have to wait a little bit longer to be able to see them. I suppose she'll enjoy her reward, and no doubt she'll spend a lot of time with her. She'll be very happy to have that post-leave. It seems like the little hyena cubs are coming out and about, so let's go and say hi.
Well, everybody, look at who has popped its head out of the den. Welcome to the newest member of the Djuma clan. I'm just going to speak a bit softer. She's never heard my voice before. Now, it's definitely not Plonk. Plonk has already gone past the stage of dark coloration. And maybe this individual hyena has had some cubs of her own. That would be super awesome. Here, it's back at the hole now. It's popping its head out again, BK. BK to the right. There we go. Hello. Here she comes. Here it comes. It's the early stages, the first 2 months or so, 3 months. 2 months. The first month and a half, they're still completely dark like this. I don't know when last any of us have seen this clan, so we wouldn't know of any new members. And if she suckles, then it's definitely mum, because hyenas do not share suckling duties like lions do. It is mum or nothing. Very inquisitive. A little bit of shade there behind the little bush. Aren't you a cute little one? This is very special. Almost too much fur or skin on the top of the head. Oh, Emma, I think it's a little bit too hot for now for them to be playful, but in the next half hour, maybe 45 minutes, it's possible they might get a little bit more active, and they might come out and explore, maybe come and play with a stick or two. Isn't that just so precious? Just go and suckle at mummy. It's very precious, everybody, and we're right on the boundary. We're just on the northern side of the Firebreak Road, so 30-40 meters from Gowrie Main itself, which is our southern boundary with Little Gowrie and Hoffman's. And like I said, it is Hukumuri who led us to this den site this morning. And maybe he spotted this little one. I don't know. I haven't seen any other youngsters. The other youngsters are also... They've grown quite a bit, I'm sure, since last we saw them. They're probably all just full of spots. And apparently, Emma just saw another one pop up behind. 2 is very common in hyena breeding. 2 youngsters. Oh, that must be mum. You're way too playful with someone who's not your mum. Must definitely be mum. There we go. I'm going to go for the nipple. Yes. It's just too much skin on the head. Can you see that? And I can't imagine what's going on in the nose. That little youngster is probably smelling all sorts of things. Look at that. Hello. Welcome to the world, little one. I wonder if it was in fact born on Djuma. We don't know how long this den site has been active for. James is quite certain that the hyenas have been dragging carcasses south of the boundary, so most likely to a den, but it's possible there might even be 2. We don't know. We don't spend any time down there, which is the problem. there's a little bit of digging going on, I think, BK. There's lots of dust coming out of the hole. Someone's digging. There might be some play happening inside. So the hyena mum can dig into the termite mound to make the cavity, and then the youngsters can actually dig in a little bit more to make sort of a smaller little alcove where they can hide away. Because as we've seen, the likes of Tingana can go straight inside a termite mound like this and still manage to turn around. So it is a cavernous sort of drop in there. And we've even had James Hendry going inside of a termite mound when he lost Ronald the Rover. So there's all sorts of things going on there. Kathy, from her, you said they're looking a little bit brown-headed. Well, I think that's from the dust. It's very dusty in there, and it's very likely that this den site has been newly dug not too long ago. So... Oh, sorry, red-headed. I'm sure that's got to do with the dust as well. The brown, or the dark chocolate brown of the body mixed together with the sort of pale sand probably gives it a little bit of that reddish sort of shimmer, but a lot of that's also got to do with the light. But I assure you, if we happen to take it and dunk it in the pool just off to the right over here, it would come out rather dark indeed. Well, this mum is not bothered at all by our presence. JW, they don't keep snakes out other than eating them. The only way to keep a snake out is to completely close something. Even our rooms, snakes can potentially come underneath doors if you have a little gap. Snakes have an ability to get into the smallest of areas. So there's nothing to keep a snake out. And pythons are well known to live inside of termite mounds. And there's documentaries years ago of pythons actually killing and ingesting baby leopards. A very sad story. It is part of what happens out here, though. So you're never completely safe from anything, and a big rock python really has the ability to get into areas that other predators can't. It is traumatic. That documentary went, and the python ingested the cub, and apparently the female waited for the python to come out of wherever it had been, and then she killed it. And then emerged or re-emerged the cub out of its belly, but the cub was dead. Very, very sad, either from constricting or from suffocation, not breathing with inside the body cavity of the python. So pythons are a means, they do what they do. There's even cases in other parts of the world of small humans being ingested by large snakes. So it's important not to fall asleep in the bush and always have an eye or a friend out to watch you. Well, as nice as it sounds, we would love to have the sun setting to cool everything down. It seems like David is watching the setting sun.
Very well done, Vov, to spot a hyena cub, and that makes me now even work harder to look for the cubs that I've been looking for here that I haven't seen as yet. Hopefully it's not going to be another frustrating afternoon like yesterday, because yesterday I was here for a couple of hours and I saw nothing. And I was just trying to get my statistics yesterday, and I said out of every 10 times I have come here, it's only 2 times I'll miss them. So I'm counting yesterday, and if 30 is what it will be, then this will be the second of the 10 times. Then from tomorrow, I'll start seeing them every other day. So I have looked in every possible place, because what I'm putting in consideration is the age of the cubs of Mitty, one of the females there, and of course the cubs of Kinktail, which those are the tiniest and the newest. And I wouldn't imagine them going a very long distance. What I'm guessing.
Well, We were hoping to find Lalamba somewhere around here. We had squirrels alarming close to the pan where she was left yesterday. So we thought we'd come in and have a look, see if maybe we got lucky. But so far, it seems like not too much luck. We haven't been able to properly spot the squirrel, or the squirrel has stopped calling now. And then, of course, we haven't actually found the leopard. So it makes it a little bit tricky. We're just hoping that she's going to be around here because there were no tracks for her on coming out on the road. At least not from this morning, so chances are that she's still in here somewhere. Seems like Steve has managed to get another view of the cubs, so we'll send you guys across while we carry on looking for some more spots.
Well, on the other side of the termite mound, look at who we've found. There's all sorts going on here. I'm thinking this might be Plonk. I'm not sure, everybody. The hyena there with a big notch in the left ear. I think that is Corky. That is Corky. And Corky has got the one youngster called Plonk, who last time we saw him, he was very, very dark in colour, and the only way to really be sure whose pup or whose cub is who is when they suckle like that. It isn't that the most affectionate little cuddle that's happening there? And just on the other side of the termite mound from where we were, the first hyena that we were with before, who we're thinking might be Hart, came around to say hello. There was a bit of activity that went on, and then we found these two sitting here. So aren't we just very fortunate today? Thank you, Guarri branches, for the luck you have brought for us. We have surely missed spending time with hyenas. You only really notice when you don't get them. Thank you, Monique, for confirming that it's Corky. This is definitely the hyena that came out this morning. Look at Plonk. Plonk's practically on his back. This is the one that came out this morning and rushed Hukumuri and chased him, sending him off into the distance because, well, we know that Pretty, she's also got a bit of a kink in her ear. It's a little bit more to the right of Corky's kink, and she had two youngsters who are bigger than Plonk at the moment, but last time I saw them, they looked like Plonk does now, and now he looks like they do, so I'm sure they are much bigger in size. Incredible how they are growing, and still suckling, of course, because hyena will suckle for up to a year. One of the longest sort of suckling mammals for their size, due to the enormous amount of bone inside the diet of the hyena, allows them to provide food for them or milk for them for a lot longer. And so the cubs will stay around the den until at least a year before venturing out into the wilderness to become a fully fledged scavenger or hunter. And then you need to be big enough to deal with. Here comes one on the right. Let's see if there's going to be some activity. Here we go. So everybody, now we can see this individual standing quite nicely. I'm going to see if I can see those interesting spots on the side, but they are rather plain. And in fact, I can't really see. Oh, hello. There's a nice yawn. You think I'm interesting, do you? I'm going to get my phone out and see if I can recognize any sort of markings on the body, as Corky's looking way too comfortable there. Corky's bottom is very wet. I think she was in the pool a while ago, while these two, while this one has been sitting around the den site with the youngster. So there's at least 3 adults in the area with at least 2 little ones, which, well, is very special. And they've been here for we don't know how long. I know I've been seeing lots of tracks in the area. The day before Jamie Patterson went on leave, she was quite adamant to try and go and find the den site, but it can be a difficult task. I have tracked hyenas before for hours and hours, and their tracks just go everywhere. They manage to cover enormous areas with their nightly wanderings and ever search a food for their ever-growing bellies to provide the milk for their never-ceasing cubs. Plonk. Is that why James called at plonk because of its ability to just lie upside down and plonk itself down on the ground. It is ridiculous. It is ridiculous, Emma. But look at the affection coming from Mum there. You're such a good mum. We saw you chase off the hyena. We did. There we go. A little bit of licking of the anal gland. Best thing to do in the morning for hyenas is to clean the anal gland. It's quite a revolting thought. I know that with dogs, many people take them to the vet to get their anal gland sort of pushed out because most dogs don't paste like they probably should. And so you're able to go and get the anal gland voided in dogs. I think it must be the most revolting smell on the planet. But does exactly what it does. I don't know, Emma. She's looking very comfortable. She's looking comfortable. Plonk's not looking very comfortable. But she couldn't have a care in the world. She's seen off the interloper Hukumuri. She is seeing to her little cub. And no doubt she'll be out on the prowl once again as the shade or the sun sets. She's on the nice side, the eastern-facing side of the mound, with where she's been doing some digging. And there is the sun on that side. So she's on the eastern side, in the best spot for the sunrise in the morning and to maintain a nice cool area for most of What are you doing? Anyway, we're going to stay here, folks. Don't worry, we're not going anywhere. Let's go back over to Ellie, see if she's had any luck searching for the princess.
Well, unfortunately, no luck with the tracks or the squirrels, and everything went quiet. So we're just checking some of the roads around just to see if we can pick up anything for her. Just lots of hyena tracks around. It seems like Djuma has just become hyena central. Well, at least in terms of tracks. So unfortunately, we haven't been able to find anything. We were also in Buffelshoek Cutline at one point looking for the cheetah that were apparently spotted earlier on. But the last report was that they were going northwest from the boundary. So I think they did cross, and then they are on Buffelshoek, somewhere now. I couldn't find any tracks because, again, sometimes the directions we get are like, just go there, maybe you'll see the tracks. And then we don't. But yeah, no luck with that. But you know, it's a good thing. Having them come every now and again just sets up the opportunity maybe for one more. Okay, sorry guys, I was just trying to get some view on this tracks over here, but I think it's just insects that have been walking around up and down. So who knows? Could it be that perhaps Thandi has gone off and then she's left her around? It is quite thick around that area, so it's a little bit complicated to try and find anything in there. Or it could also very well be that Thandi managed to make a kill and then she moved her and then they went somewhere else further into the block, in which case it's a very big block, that one. In which case they wouldn't have had to come to any road. So that would make our life a little bit trickier. So we'll see maybe a little bit later on. Perhaps they'll come back to the pans for water. That will be pretty good. It is hot, so they have to come for water at some point. But the challenge sometimes with the summer is that when it rains, there are a lot of natural mud wallows in between the blocks, or wherever there are no roads. So for those animals like the leopards and the lions, you don't really have to go to big dams or anything. I mean, not just the lions and the leopards, any animal in general. They can just have a drink anywhere. Sorry, Seb, what are those tracks there on your side? Got some... Sorry, guys, we're trying to have a look at some tracks that are on our left hand side. Can you have a look? Yes, Alright, sorry. I'm gonna have one quick look just to see, in case we don't miss the opportunity. It's a little bit of soft sand all the way back here. Yeah, I think these are hyena tracks. Yeah, so unfortunately, I don't know if it's tricky to try and find a nice track to show you guys. I don't know if your zoom comes all the way to here. Can you see this one here at the bottom? So this is what we've been looking at. So now there we go. Now I've lost it. So you see the back pad is here. There's one lobe here and another one here, and then of course the fingers, or the toes, I should actually say. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there's this little inclination here, this little dip here where you can see where the claws were. So when it stepped onto and here you can almost see where they brushed. And then there's another track here, and then another one here, and then it's just carried on going that way. I would assume that it's perhaps one of the Djuma clan going back in that direction. All they have to do is pretty much go in a straight line, and it won't take them too long to get there. So all the tracks around here, all the hyena tracks. Like I said, we bumped into a lot of hyena tracks today. But I think it's good now that we know where the den is, because then that makes our lives easier. We know at least where the ones with little babies are going to be going on to. Let me just plug myself in. Perfect. I was hoping, because they were not too big, that they were going to be a leopard track, of course. But that unfortunately was not the case. We're going to carry on tracking, see what else we can find around here. But while we do that, we'll send you guys back to the actual hyenas.
We do indeed have the hyenas. We can guarantee them. Good luck trying to find Mrs. Kalama, little princess. And, well, Plonk continues to gorge on her mum. And they can suckle for an hour, hour and a half at a time, giving mum some time to rest. And I can't imagine suckling for that amount of time. Really, really interesting indeed. The production of that milk. And 2 to 3 times a day, or sorry, should I say half a dozen times, 6 times a day in the early months. Later on in life, up to 3 months, can be about 3 times a day. It's a lot of time needed by the adults to spend sitting here with the youngsters. But the interesting thing about the den is that they can leave them completely unattended while they go out. And that's how the den actually works. Teepee, no, the scars around her neck and head are bite marks, scratches, possibly old tick bites, things like that. The biggest wounds she's received are on her back. We did see her when we arrived here, but I didn't notice any major injury. Her bottom was very wet, I assumed from the mud and the water she'd been laying in, but I didn't notice the seeping wound. She had a really big gaping wound on her back from the lion. And but I didn't notice it. I think she was at the wrong angle when I saw her. Oopsie, my earpiece has just fallen out. Well, she's being very vigilant. She probably still knows that Hukumuri is somewhere nearby. And I suppose if you've ever been mauled by a lion, it will also make you sleep with one eye open all the time. The only downfall of the position that we're in now and seeing Corky and Plonk having his meal, her meal, is that, well, we're now in the sun. We were in a really nice shady spot before. Look at that. Isn't that just the cutest? And little spotted hyenas. So she goes through moments of not having a care in the world to raising her head in alertness. I don't know what it is that she's hearing. Her Plonk is turning around. Oh, trying to stand up. Come on, show us. He wants to do it standing. Oh, look at the legs. You are just being ridiculous. You are being ridiculous. Sorry, folks, this is just too cute. A spatchcock chicken, indeed. Indeed. It's very fluffy still. They lose a lot of their fur as they get older. You notice that hyenas up in the Maasai Mara are much fluffier, much more fur on the body. Probably due to sort of the standardized temperatures up there. They can afford to be a little bit furrier. Here, the winters get get relatively cold, but hyenas can warm themselves up through activity. And the heat in the day, in the summer months, is just probably way too much for them to have too much fur on them. But the youngsters can afford to have fur due to the fact that they've got a much smaller body size, and so will give off a lot more heat. They're also not as active as the adults are running around, so they need to have a little bit of a jersey on them. And Corky, maybe if you position yourself a little bit better, Plonk would have a better go at the suckling. It seems like she doesn't want to leave the safety of the hole too much. Who knows if that's to do with her old lion story. But anyway, it's much cooler up in the Maasai Mara. Let's go and see if David has got on his shuka.
It's a lot cooler here than it is, I'm sure, in Juma. And sorry, you lost me the last time you had me because of some technical issues. And any time now I'll be getting on my shuka. And again, as I said, we usually face a few challenges in terms of bringing our best shows to your living rooms in your screens. But then sometimes things go wrong. Anyhow, I am back and I am online. And as Steve said, it's really getting chilly here. You can see from all the movement or how the wind is blowing the grass. That indicates the temperatures have gone down. A few minutes ago, I took a piece of paper and pen, and I was doing some notes, and I was drawing something on paper, and Archie, who is my camera operator today, was asking me what I'm doing, and I told him I'm trying to connect all the dots, the movement of the sausage trip ride, because I know where they are today, where they are tomorrow, where they were a week ago, and then I could look at the possibilities of where else they could go, because I can't understand why I cannot see them. And, you know, Archie told me good luck, but I'm sure, well, that's just a way of trying to get my frustration out of myself. Like, where are they? But now, as you can see, one of the biggest challenges we have currently now is this high grass. And those cuts could be 20 meters away from where you are. And imagining they're all flat and they're about 6 inches high or 8 inches, you know, looking at their hindquarters, you'll easily keep driving and miss them. Or they could be anywhere else, you know. But Fiona, you are talking of invasive plants. Now, if there are any in the Mara, luckily not. And the game rangers are very strict. For when guests come here, they're always encouraged not to come with any live seeds or any live, I would say, fruits, where they could eat something and throw it out there. So Fiona, the grass we are seeing now, this remains it all around the year. It has been like this, you know, time immemorial. And the most dominant one here is what we call the red oat grass, or the Temenda triandria. So that remains dominant, and we're very lucky we do not see any invasive or any exotic species of plants. Now, neighboring the Mara, there is another national park, Fiona, called Serengeti National Park. And Serengeti National Park is in Tanzania. And every couple of months, we'll always see some fire, you know, man-made fire, not natural fire. And the game rangers will always light that particular area. And when you talk to them, they'll tell you they're trying to get rid of all the bugs, you know, all the ticks, mainly. And also, just in case accidentally there is an exotic plant brought by a tourist or a guest of some sort, then they'll also ban it before it starts creeping and taking over maybe the particular niche or ecosystem of the Serengeti wild. In Kenya, we don't do that, but I would say for a fact, this remains it all around the year. Well, sausages, I'm running short of time, and again, this is slowly coming out to be my 2 out of 10 times or 10 days when they give me a miss, which is fine. And this is to be the beauty of our job. You know, we come expecting the unexpected, and also not to see them is also unexpected. When you leave the camp, we are always guaranteed. I know where they live, I know their territory. I'm going to go looking at all the watering points. I'm going to look where there are animals they can feed on, for example, buffaloes or zebras. Well, nature is nature, and of course, they have their own rules. But what makes me laugh is trying to imagine how many times Have I passed the same lions maybe on the same track? Or maybe how close were they as I was driving and I did not see them? And maybe they put up their head after I had passed. They smiled. Bye, David. See you tomorrow. Today's not your day. You know, it's very possible, eh? It's very possible. So on the grass, we just have to drive pretty carefully, slowly, and hoping they might pop up. Because the last place they had a kill, they stayed in an open area, you know, in the grass for about 3 days. And they did not move from there for those 3 days. All right, I still have a few more minutes to keep chancing my luck. But I think Steve's hyenas are telling him, Vov, you are a lucky boy today.
Good luck, Gigi. I'm sure you will find the lions. They are out there somewhere. Although they did evade you yesterday. It is a very big area. There we go, licking her lips. Satisfaction. Blanc has been standing, trying to stand, and Corky keeps pulling him down. He wants to stand and eat because I think he's a little bit more upside down when he's lying down. And now, every time he does so, she grabs him with her paw and pushes him down again. Her down. I can't remember if Plonk is a male or female. I've been trying to find out on my phone here, but I'm in such a bad signal area that I'm not getting any of the information. So Emma seems to remember Plonk is a boy. I thought that as well, but I couldn't remember, and I don't want to get it wrong. But I know many of you out there are very familiar with these animals. Most of the time that Plonk and the other two youngsters have been around, I was in the Mara, so I didn't really get to spend too much time with them. Just started learning the hyenas up there. Seems an insurmountable task. And now we are back down here as Corky decides to give the anal pouch another grooming. Thanks, everyone, for confirming there that he is indeed a boy. A very naughty little boy. A very cute boy, in fact. So it's interesting. I mean, all the debates that range around matriarchs and their offspring and where will they sort of land in the social grouping of things. And, you know, things have changed over the years. Everyone's always said males have no standing. But it's become quite true to light that males indeed, if they are born to a matriarch, inherit a status. Oh, Corky's done. That was very ungracious. Oh, look at him. Mum, I'm hungry. He's got very nice long legs. Isn't he just gorgeous? He's grown into his skin. He's still got a bit of loose skin on the forehead. He's given that. See, Corky doesn't seem to have too much in the way of injuries on her at the moment. You see her bottom. Okay, well, let's have a listen. There's some noises going on here. He's not done, but I think she's done. Who are you calling in the hole there, Corky? Who did you want to come out and say hello? She's going, Safari Lives here, people. Come and say hello to them. Got a bit of a limp on her there, I think, because she's been lying down. But, you know, I saw her this morning and she looked fine. I didn't see any marks on her. Let's see on the other side, it seems to be completely healed. Isn't that remarkable? Remarkable. She had the nastiest of wounds on her back there. I'm trying to look closely. It's hard to tell, really. There's just mud. Incredible. Incredible. That must be 3 months now. And then she's decided she would like to sit in the beautiful feather-top chloris. She's going, look, I'm a leopard, everybody. Take my photograph now. I'm in the beautiful grass. This is where you take photos of all the leopards, don't you? Obviously, after a genital licking, first of all, because she needs to look her best. Plonk, what are you smelling? There must be so many sounds or smells going on in a hyena nose. They reckon they can pick up enormous amounts of things in the air. Must be quite overwhelming when they're quite young. Have you ever taken your dog for a drive and they stick their head out the window? You can't really even talk to them because they're completely absorbed with what they are smelling. Some oxpeckers there got her to lift her head. Okay, well, we've got two members here. One individual walked away, probably went to go and have a little bit of a bath. It might be time. Oh, there we go. Mummy, give me an ear licking. What would you do without Mum? I remember that's one of the things I was always told when I was a child is don't forget to wash behind your ears. Hyenas don't have to remember because their mums do it for them. Right there, in those hard to reach places. Ooh. I don't know if that's lovely or disgusting because can you imagine the breath that is coming off of Corky's mouth right now? How that is supposed to be cleaning your son's head, I'm not quite sure, but I think at least 100%, or A for effort, we should say. A for effort. Okay, I think Corky still knows that Hukumuri was around. She keeps looking in the direction that he disappeared in, too. And she's probably thinking, is he going to come back and give my little baby any trouble? Okay, well, anyway, we're going to stay here. We're not going anywhere. Let's go back over to James. I think he's still checking the watering holes.
We don't have much of an update, I'm afraid, except that we've managed to find Ali and Trishala and, well, Sebastian. Marvellous. Let's have a quick word with them. Hello. No luck, I'm afraid. Right, well, we didn't hear you. Are the lions still there?
Well, they were pretty flat there. They moved into a bit of a more complicated spot, but they should.
Okay, well then I'd suggest you stick with them. Okay. All right. I'm going to run down to Chitwa. Vive la France. Goodbye. Good luck. Right, everybody. Well, today is a very special day for some people around the world, of course. Given that there are 7 billion of us occupying this planet, you can be fairly sure that some people were born and, in fact, have been born on this day. One of those people is a Mr. Daniel Suter, an enormous super-duper, uber, ultra, infra fan. And, well, happy birthday, Daniel. I know that you managed to find Emily and Graham, or they've managed to find you, or something or other. You met up with them, and, well, it's your birthday today, and so a very happy birthday to you. I'm sorry we can't give you slightly more than green bush and sand at the moment to show you, but Steve's done an admirable job, and so has Ali, I suppose, of showing you some of our favourite Predator characters, and I hope that they have been sufficient for your 43rd birthday. Gosh, you are really quite old. Almost 8 months older than I am. Ancient human being. Yes, I am. That is absolutely correct. Okay, what we're going to do now is head down towards Chitwa Dam, because that's where we're going to start the TV show. And I'm afraid Tlalamba has managed to give us the sleep. There's a lot of thick bush around here. There are very few water points though, and we've checked absolutely every one of them. But we just haven't been lucky. So we're going to have one more check at Gwari Pan on our way down. And then give it up for 3 shalas and Ali. Anyway, all right, let's go back to David and let's find out if we had any luck finding the sausages.
Well, James, I'm not any better than you, and I do not have anybody to wish happy birthday to, but just to wish these cubs, if they just want to show up their faces for a couple of minutes, before we end the show, or at least their mothers or the males, the old Donyo Pike males. None of them is trying to be very friendly today, but I would understand because I would say almost the whole of this year began, we have seen them almost every other day. Are they taking a break from us? If that's the case, fine. Well understood. And we'll give them a break from Archie's camera. Archie's the cameraman with me today. And if that's the case, then that's fine. So we'll be here tomorrow and the day after. We're not going anywhere. And this particular area is one area I was at the beginning of the year looking for the same lions and found the shepherd or the shepherd tree here, the male leopard around this area. So it could be either it, because this is apparently his territory, that leopard. He lives around this area. And I saw him mating with one unknown female, a female that we do not know. And I'm assuming that female might have conceived. And if that happened at the beginning of the year, maybe going to the end of next month, we might be lucky to see a cub or two. And I think the person whose luck has been doing very well today is Steve Oval.
Oh, Gigi, the winner of today, you say? Well, it has been a fantastic day, and a day that I'm going to remember because we're going to employ the magic worry trick because it works very, very well. Well, Corky went off for a little meander, probably to have a drink. She walked straight to that little pan, and then she came back, postulated herself for a little plonk, and now he's popped out again, and he is now eating, or should I say suckling. Isn't that just so cute? Little mini version of her. So Corky, very good idea, positioning your den very close to some water. That was very smart thinking. Donna, most certainly do. They get tick and flea infested, probably mites as well. All sorts of things will move in there. And so that's one of the reasons why hyenas will move den sites, is to allow those parasites the ability to go through a number of life cycles and then possibly perish. Because if they stayed here, the life cycle of the parasite would just continue within the den, and the animal would never get rid of those parasites. I'm not going to say that hyenas are ever rid of parasites, but you have the ability to decrease loads and increase loads. And by staying in one den site, it would definitely increase. It's the same as when humans first started living in one place. And things started getting a little bit disgusting, and that's when the first sicknesses and plagues started, because of obviously the decaying food, the lack of waste disposal, and all of those things that lead to the many, many, many illnesses that we still see in rural parts of the world, where there's not sanitary conditions, where there are rodent outbreaks, and where there is obviously the lack of distribution of clean water. So it is a similar sort of process. The hyenas will obviously not going to get dysentery by staying inside a termite mound, but the smell and the parasites and the flies possibly that are attracted, as well as the ticks and fleas, well, they will just follow the hyenas and constantly be breeding on them and sucking their blood if they don't move. Well, it seems like Plonk is going to fill his belly with much needed milk. The sun has gone behind a few clouds, making it a beautiful, beautiful afternoon now. Kathy, the magic worry, there's a lot to be said for the magic worry, and well, we're going to employ that technique more from now on, because it has been a fantastic day. Obviously spending time with Hukumuri most of the morning, and he led us to the den site. I know many of you out there are super excited that we've managed to find them. Everyone at the morning meeting table this morning was also very blessed, because we have got a TV show coming on in the next half an hour, 45 minutes. And well, we had Hukumuri, he's gone south. And we had Tingana, he's gone south. We've got the Unkuhuma Pride, they are south of the boundary. So without these hyenas, I don't really know what we're going to talk about. But anyway, we've got lots of things to talk about. And Cal 6, you reckon I should use the magic guari branch to attract Hosanna? Well, I will do that. So I'm going to hang a branch from my door, and I'm going to take one on every drive. And hopefully the little chief will come back. Hello, Corky. It's nice to see you again. Very nice to see you, and she is very happy to see all of you, ladies and gentlemen. She got a little bit of a cut on the side of her face there, a little bit of blood. Maybe she got a smack from a leopard there. That seems to be a little bit of a wound. Maybe there was a tick there that got plucked off. Everyone is agreeing it's happy to have the Djuma clan back on Djuma. Indeed, it's very happy to be spending some time with them. Such close proximity to one of the most magnificent predators on the African continent, the most complex, anyway. And nice to be able to spend time and to really delve into the behaviors that they exhibit. Well, everybody, I hope you've had a wonderful afternoon with us. It has gone from being very hot to being nice and cool. We are going to be closing shortly for an SABC show. But thank you for joining us this afternoon. We'll see you again bright and early tomorrow morning. I hope you've had a good weekend. Have a beautiful, beautiful evening. And we will see you tomorrow morning. Good day and goodbye.